Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trawled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello dear listener and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
I've been doing a bunch of Euro Truck Simulator 2, and I have arrived at the point at which the game has decided that I can just buy garages from wherever, whenever I like.
Wow.
For fun and profit. Mostly profit.
How many drivers do you have working for you?
I have 11 drivers, including myself.
Okay. Have you gone down the route of buying trailers?
A little bit, but
I haven't tried it. Is it worth it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to Euro Truck Simulator 2, the podcast.
Yeah. And I also found out that in Denmark, Norway and Sweden, you must have your headlights on at all hours of the day.
Yes. Okay, so I will catch up with you after the podcast and make a note of those countries, because I am well aware that there are certain countries that you get fined for not having your headlights on, but I've never been able to work out A, which ones they were, and B, whether they're meant to be on and whether they're meant to be off.
And then in other countries, in broad daylight, I was getting headlight offences anyway, so I decided, there's no such thing as battery life in this strange world, I'm just going to leave them on. Yep,
fair enough. I had an awful experience yesterday where I just thought, look, I'll hop in the truck and do a quick delivery, and ramped up the obstruction settings that produced the random crashed helicopter in the middle of the road, so you have to detour. And it went terribly badly. I arrived very, very late, and I managed to almost tip my truck over by running onto one of the railing barriers, and paid for petrol because I had to detour, and then got to the end of it and didn't get anything for the trip. I was most annoyed.
I am so bad at remembering that the trailer doesn't follow where your truck was. It follows where your truck is.
Yes. Do you reverse park?
No.
Really? Oh, I love reverse parking. Reverse parking a semi-trailer, I have really got that down to a fine art, except for in the dark when it's raining. I find that quite difficult, because you've got to stick your head out of the driver's side to really be able to see, and you get your head wet.
I have enough trouble working out reversing when I don't have to precisely park it.
No, I'm quite proud of myself for that.
And half the time, I won't even take the safe option, because I'm like, okay, so my truck right now is here, and I need to get it to there, but to get to there, I'm going to need to do a lot of finagling that I'm just not interested in right now.
Yeah.
And I've been taking a few external contracts through World of Trucks.
I haven't tried the World of Trucks yet.
The main difference is that instead of having a deadline based on in-game time, your deadline is based on real time. And so sometimes you might take a route that's not the in-game best because it's faster in real time.
Right.
Like going out of your way to take a long ferry trip that cuts out much of the trip.
Yeah, fair enough.
Especially when it's getting towards 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Final question before we need to move on. Do you speed?
Not intentionally.
Okay.
Sometimes a limit change will take you by surprise and suddenly, apparently I'm going 20 kilometers an hour over the speed limit because it's just changed suddenly. And what's that? There's a police car behind me. I guess I'll just eat that fine.
It strikes me that there are certain countries that have more police presence. They've certainly got more speed cameras set up as well. So, anyway.
So what have you been up to?
Well, I've been playing a bit of Euro Truck Simulator. I've been wondering whether we would actually podcast today because I keep on hearing weird coughing noises and somebody coughing up their left lung from one of the bedrooms and thinking, A, he may not be up to it, and B, do I want to share the Deranged Cat studio with this person?
I don't think it is a respiratory illness.
Right, fair enough. It's it's a fur ball.
I've been meaning to bring it up, but the time just hasn't been right. It's You're probably going to cut all this out.
Probably.
But I just got this feeling like there's been something stuck in my throat.
Right.
For the past week and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably need a doctor to look at it, but...
Possibly, yes. Yeah. Yes. Or I could find the smallest of the obsolete phones that are floating around the house, charge it up and get you to swallow it, and have it set to film as it goes through. Could do that.
Yeah, No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay. It was an idea.
It was certainly an idea.
It was an idea that may make it worth keeping this bit in the podcast. What are we watching today, Thomas?
No, Hugo.
No, Hugo.
It's still Hugo.
It is.
That's still the joke.
Martin Scorsese is getting his big coloured brushes out to make a film adaptation of a illustrated, black and white illustrated book, novel. Yes. So
yeah, it's a strange book.
It's a wonderful... this is going to be a real struggle for me, and I will desperately try to take the film at face value today rather than going through I much prefer the book, but I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do that.
I've not read the book recently.
Right.
So,
okay. It has been some time for me as well. All right. So, do you have a plot synopsis that you can bring up for that?
Welcome to a magical world of spectacular adventure. When wily and resourceful Hugo discovers a secret left by his father, he unlocks a mystery and embarks on a quest that will transform those around him and lead to a safe and loving place he can call home. Academy Award-winning filmmaker Martin Scorsese invites you to experience a chilling journey that critics are calling, quote, the stuff that dreams are made of, end quote.
That's what we're watching. We're watching it on Stan. We are not watching it on DVD or Blu-ray. I think I've only got it on DVD.
That is correct.
Okay. So, without any further ado, we're going to hit the play button and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B. That's a few too many sides. Go.
No. That was the oldie style projector starting up.
Right. Yeah.
See.
No, you don't really turn reels to side B. You switch to reel 2.
Yes.
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 Mm.
You dag. So, what did you think?
it's a very well put together film.
Right.
It looks good.
Yes.
It sounds very good.
Yes.
It's reasonably well acted.
Yes.
For the most part.
For the most part.
And it's sort of hampered by having Sacha Baron Cohen in it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for beating me to but it is. I am on record as not appreciating him as an actor. So I did not want to start off with that. Yeah. But
the parts with him in it are very much written around having Sacha Baron Cohen in them.
I get more of a feeling of so much of it was ad-libbed by him, and he was allowed to be Sacha Cohen Baron and Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen. Is that what I said the first time?
No, it's not.
Okay. No. He just eats the scenery and the...
What's supposed to be a tense moment is bulldozed by him bumbling about.
But yeah, I did say that I was going to try and go in here and accept what he was doing, and at the very, very beginning I was thinking, well, look, perhaps it's a homage to Keystone Cops, you know, the era, the bumbling policeman, but no, it just doesn't. And it's stretched even further for me in that the whole ensemble cast of the train station people who don't feature in the book, and here I am making that comparison again, it felt like a really tight film that then suddenly has all the characters from the Beast's house in Beauty and the Beast. The Disney version.
Yeah.
You've got Mrs. Potts and you've got just one-dimensional characters who ate scenery without progressing the plot at all.
Yeah.
And the big one being, the policeman.
There's a whole 30 minutes in here of another less interesting film.
Very much so. And returning to the book, because I cannot separate it, even though that I have not a huge memory of it now, and I need to revisit. One of the things that does spring out so strongly in my mind is the way that the book is produced, where you have text and then whole swathes of just pages of black and white line drawings that you with no dialogue, that you read like a silent film, and you do that at your own pace. As it gets tense, you're flicking through these pages and think, oh, I need to go back and look at those. But you're controlling the pace. And in this, the pacing just gets ruined by the fact that you're not in control of it. And in places in the film, that pacing is really, really bad. You get taken out of the core story for no good reason. There are certainly films where there is sort of a world building that happens, and those characters are integral to the story. None of these are. Not even Sacha Baron Cohen's character is entirely integral to the story. And as you say, a good half hour could be torn out of that film with no tears from me.
No.
But it looks so beautiful, and it sounds so beautiful. And yet again, sometimes that is a blessing and a curse. That opening scene which introduces the the train station, sweeping over Paris, where you've got that clockwork machinery that then becomes the streets of Paris. It looked big, it looked brilliant, but it wasn't the intimate story that I grew to love from the book. So there was a conflict even in that opening scene, where I had set my mind to just try and let me accept this as a movie, and possibly I'm being crippled by that fact. It happened the other time where it really, really hit me was with Where the Wild Things Are, where
which is a very different film from the book.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising.
No.
Because there's not actually a lot in the book.
No, it's like 22 pages long, and you are being very ambitious, trying to make what ended up a very long movie, and it wasn't my Where the Wild Things Are, and in a lot of ways the intimacy and the black and whiteness and the silent movie aspect of the book of the invention of Hugo Cabaret was not in this film for me, and I really wish I could separate it. I wish I could watch this film without having that back history and try and appreciate it the way that, quite obviously, a lot of people have. It is crippled for me by having that background, and also the Sacha Baron Cohen effect, and expanding out to the other characters within that. It was, yes, it's a big train station, and the book conveys that, and all the bashing into people. It just, again, with Sacha Baron Cohen predominantly, it was filmed so poorly. There were people who weren't necessarily in his way that he ran into, and it just looked bad. I want to love this film a lot more than I actually do, and there are aspects of it that I really do, but in my regard, I'm probably talking up the book way more than it deserves, but it is a thing of beauty to me, and it's a good book. Yeah, it is spoilt by this, and I say it's spoilt by this, and I think that it could have been done well or better, or you've made some notes.
3 notes. 3 whole notes.
Do, Re, and Mi.
Very extensive use of surround sound.
Yes.
Especially at the start, as we're getting our bearings. It's a very good mix.
Yes, you find yourself in the train station before you're in the train station.
That Satie piece again.
The what, sorry?
So, Eric Satie, French composer from the late 19th century.
Right. Did
a lot of things, probably best known for Gymnopédies. Has this one piece that composer Christian Henson, who works for Spitfire Audio, pointed out at one point as being very overused, and since then I have not been able to notice it.
Okay, I'm going to have to find a grab of it, and
I'm talking specifically of Gnossen 1.
Right.
Which goes something like this. and continues on.
Ah, yes. I know the one.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right.
And since it's been pointed out to me, I've
no.
not been
It's
able
like,
to notice it when it's used.
Whatever you do, don't think about elephants. Yep. Okay.
It just. Oh.
Okay.
I guess I'm listening to this now.
Yeah. Well, the soundtrack itself was very much an interesting mix of traditional and Howard Shore original stuff. What jumped out at me was, I guess, the Howard Shore. We're in France, so let's make it as French as possible with accordions. And,
is it enough accordion? Do we need more accordion?
100% more accordion, thank you. And then some chanson, Danse Macabre. That was the piece that sprang out at me. But I'm still not entirely familiar with the piece that you're talking about. By the time that this is edited up, I will know what you're talking about. And, sorry, so was that number 3?
Number 1. That was my second note. That was my second note.
Yep.
Now, before we were watching the film, last week, we were talking about this film having been made for 3D.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not sure how much of that comes through in the 2D. There are some set pieces.
Yeah. There was one piece that really, really threw me, and that was when the mechanical mouse fell to the floor. And I'm thinking, that looks really, really weird. Why is that looking really, really weird? And the animated mouse as well. And now that you bring that up, especially that falling mechanical mouse, that was a 3D shot. Money shot, I guess, which would have been, I guess, not a wow money shot type of thing, but it would have used the 3D effect quite well. But that took me out of the scene in the 2D aspect of this film.
And the end credits, the main on-end credits, I should say, because they were the main on-end credits. The end credits were very normal, flat credits. But the main on-end, the feature credits,
yes,
as it were very obviously made for 3D.
The curved shadowing and the 3D-ness. Yes. And it's interesting. I think that was another thing that threw me when I went to see it at the cinema. I did see it in 3D, and that added to its magnificence, but again amplified that lack of intimacy that the book I had. The book is very much a read under the covers type of story, with the torch and the covers over your head type of thing. It's that intimate, and the grandiose-ness of the film, and adding the 3D to that. Again, I can understand why it was right in the renaissance of 3D movies coming out, and Scorsese, I don't think, had done a 3D film.
Quote, this was his first film. Quote, I found 3D to be really interesting because the actors were more upfront emotionally. Their slightest move, their slightest intention is picked up much more precisely. Nonsense. 3D was an idea to get audiences into cinemas and more excited about cinemas and increase charges on cinemas. And it worked for a little bit, and now it doesn't.
No. You cannot buy a 3D television anymore. Nobody makes them, I cannot remember the last 3D film I went to see.
I don't know that I ever saw a 3D film in cinema.
Okay. You didn't see Gravity in 3D?
No.
No, okay.
No.
I know that very much during that time, you'd say, I went to see such and such, and the question immediately after that would be, did you see it in 3D? It was very much yeah, indeed. It was a gimmick when it first came out, back in the 50s. And it died out very quickly then. And then
the joke goes, name 3 characters from Avatar.
Which is interesting because that film was an absolute visual feast. It was a visceral film rather than a name three people. Yeah, I think they're doomed trying to, because
for those who don't know, they want to make 4 more of those.
Yeah, and the whole 3D thing is gone. This will be an attempt to revive it, and I cannot see. No. You know, I'm prepared to eat my hat if it suddenly revives. But all that being said, Avatar was an absolute experience, but only in a theatre in 3D. That is one of the few films where the 3D was worth it, I guess.
I should clarify, I have seen 0 3D films in cinema and 2 total. 1, Spy Kids 3D.
Oh, in the blue and red?
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Well, I said 2 total.
Yes.
And the second one was Bob's Big Break, which was a box-in short film with monsters versus aliens.
Oh dear.
And that is the breadth of my quote-unquote cinematic 3D experience.
I feel I've failed you now. But, yeah.
How shallow is that failure?
That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Credits were short.
Yes. The credits were short, and I think partially that can be attributed to being slide credits rather than scrolling credits.
Yeah.
What I would say,
yes,
negative visually. So we're doing this whole sweep through the station.
Yes.
And we're coming up to the clock where Hugo
thank
is.
You. You've reminded me what I needed to mention.
And it looks like a superimposed image and not like Hugo is actually in the clock. No,
it looked very much like the cliched having someone standing, and I think they did it the other way somewhere in the film where the camera dollied back. But like in Star Trek, where you've got someone standing at a window of the ship, and then the camera dollies back and you see the size of the ship. It wasn't him there, because of the fact that was one continuous shot right from the beginning, starting up in the sky, and
beautiful. Ignore the stream stutter, but beautiful, and I'm taken out of it.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. There were some really bad shot continuity. Like the scene where he's... Sorry, see if we've got the right one.
The library. He comes down the ladder, she comes down the ladder, and she's in front. Yeah,
yep. The chase, where he's outside on the clock face, sort of mimicking the Harold Lloyd.
When does he close the window?
He kicked it, I believe, and I was wondering that myself. But it alternated from inside where he's not where he's visible from the inside, and where he's outside, he's in front of the frosted section of the glass, and then it alters again. And
I think that might partly be just bad shot selection.
Oh yeah, it was
continuity problems.
Yeah, but I mean that counts as your bad shot selection is part of continuity. In my mind, he kept on jumping from being visible to not visible to visible to not visible. The position of the key on the track, where it was sticking out through the rock, and when he jumps down,
itself?
I mean that was in a dream sequence, but it still took me out of the moment where things weren't where they were before, and
Looking at what other people thought,
are we wrong?
Critically, it did really well.
Yes,
it won a bunch of Academy Awards and was nominated for more.
Yep.
And it was a box office failure because it was an expensive film and it just barely made over its budget.
Okay.
Nobody really... Well, I shouldn't say nobody. It did make $185 million against $150 million.
Oh, ouch. Yeah.
But nobody cared except for the critics, really.
Yeah, it felt very much, even at the time, as if it was it's a Martin Scorsese film. It's going to be wonderful, and it's got kids in it, and it's 3D done right, and it's a darling of Hollywood. And the critics were sorry, in my opinion, which is probably entirely wrong, it was very much an Emperor's New Clothes effect happening with what the critics thought. And
critics liked it, actors and filmmakers liked it, nobody else cared.
No, don't worry about the film. Read the book, watch the book, enjoy the book, because it really is a weird experience, experiencing a silent movie in book form. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else you wish to...
The film sort of works. Don't watch it. There you go.
It is still very much a love-hate relationship, and there are certainly things that I would just rip straight out of it and just tighten it up, and anyway.
The history of George Méliès is interesting.
It is.
Good to have a look at.
And varies somewhat from the story.
Don't take your history from this film.
No.
It's not accurate.
Not accurate at all. In many, many, many ways. Do you have anything else you wish to?
No, I think that might be it.
Yeah.
And unless you have anything to bring up, I think the next segment might be a little light also.
Okay, I don't have anything I really particularly wish to bring up in the what would traditionally be the next segment, and I'm feeling tingles at the moment. So.
Yeah, I've got a bit of that too.
Yeah, so we just...
I think we just skip over the untitled segment.
Okay, let's skip over to the untitled segment to this segment.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
I think it's your turn.
It is my turn.
It is your turn.
And I spent today thinking that maybe I would actually pick something. And I looked at a few things and almost picked something that I hadn't seen that tickled my fancy. And then...
Right.
And it's got 93% Rotten Tomato rating. But I think it's still too much of an unknown. I might watch it first. It's a bit of a horror film.
Okay.
And I don't think you're particularly into...
Yeah, I don't spook particularly easily. A jump scare will get me, but...
Right. Well, this is apparently a bit of a gore fest.
Oh.
Yeah. But...
Yeah, at that stage,
Yeah. No, or yes.
It depends.
I might
Yeah.
I might go for a random and pre-watch it because it may just be a case of this seems interesting to me, and that's not particularly.
There's a
fair
very
on you.
thin line somewhere in there.
Yeah.
In the spectrum of gore.
Yes. Yeah.
Where it becomes too much.
Yeah.
Before there, absolutely fine. After there, absolutely not fine.
Yeah,
and nothing in between.
I'm much the same. Much the same. All right then. And then somebody came up on Twitter and said that he'd just posted a tweet saying that Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is the worst Steven Spielberg film. And then he remembered that there was Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, is it called? The Crystal?
Just the Crystal. I'm going to look this up now.
Anyway, he was very much saying that his brain had managed to forget that film existed.
The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
What a long, arduous title.
And there was this big conversation about what is Steven Spielberg's worst film. And then I thought, maybe I should pick from the Steven Spielberg films that I have listed as films I want to revisit.
Right.
But then I don't know whether I can be bothered sticking that extra filter in. Do you want to watch a Steven Spielberg film next week?
I don't particularly mind either way, to be honest.
Okay. Or do we just grab the whole gamut of films I wish to revisit?
Why are you asking me to make your decisions
That is
for you?
true. It is my choice. Okay. I have just shaken my phone. Oh. Okay. Interesting.
Is it an film?
It is an film, and in fact it is an film that one of our dear listeners raised as a film that we should have on our list, and I said it is on my list, and it has popped up randomly here. So dear listener Lee will be most impressed. I'm going to be very interested to see what you think of this. I'm going to read out the plot synopsis.
I should remember what it is, because you did say what it was on the Facebook, but I don't.
Okay. So, Sam Bell is nearing the completion of his 3-year-long contract with Lunar Industries, mining Earth's primary source of energy on the dark side of the moon. Alone with only the base's vigilant computer Gertie as his sole companion. Bell's extended isolation has taken its toll. His only link to the outside world comes via satellite messages from his wife and young daughter. He longs to return home, but a terrible accident on the lunar surface leads to a disturbing discovery that contributes to his growing sense of paranoia and dislocation so many miles away from home. Moon is an engrossing, intelligent sci-fi thriller that ranks with genre classics like 2001: A Space Odyssey. So, what film do you think it is?
I think it might be Moon.
It is, indeed.
That's interesting, bringing up 2001: A Space Odyssey, a film I have seen once.
Mm-hmm.
I was young.
You were.
And I had a migraine at the time. And having established that I had a migraine, I took 2001: A Space Odyssey off the shelf, put it into a DVD player, and watched it.
Right.
Yeah, that happened.
Right. Huh.
This was a Sunday home from church when I went to church.
Okay, well, so what, you Googled migraine remedies and it said, watch 2001: A Space Odyssey?
No, my migraine-addled mind decided this is a good idea.
Oh, dear.
And I think I did not particularly enjoy 2001: A Space Odyssey because I found it a bit slow.
Yes,
it is a bit slow.
It is a slow film, yes.
But that's not what we're watching next week.
No. We are watching a film that is also based in part on a location that 2001: A Space Odyssey is is based on. We are going to be watching Moon.
Is 2001 A Space Odyssey on either of our lists?
I don't know.
That's a good question. 2001. It's on my list.
Oh,
Well, there we go.
interesting. Huh. Maybe that's going to make your choice easier next week. Or maybe not. Who is to say?
Probably me next week.
That's right. We hope you can join us then.
Mm.
Find out whether Thomas decides that 2001 A Space Odyssey is a good idea. Or not. But until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.